Little bonus fade the Mahoney pick right here. The Washington Commies win the game outright tonight. Eagles. Hey, welcome back to Fade the Mahoney. I'm Mike. This is Trevor. We're going to recap game 2 of the SoFi series and preview game 3. It appears it's only me and Trevor today. We will almost certainly have the Ride with Jorgy segment coming up in a bit. But we're just going to go over game 2 real quick and preview game 3, gambling perspective. Trevor, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, Mike.
You look like you're doing great. Game 2 recap. Trevor set the over-under at 4.5. I confidently took the over. Super easy win for me on the last swing of the game to put it at 7, right? Yep. So that was a nice $100 for me. And then Trevor made the Diamondbacks a minus 140 favorite. We had the information that the same pitchers were pitching game 2 as game 1. I personally thought that was a mistake, so I took the Diamondbacks. Again, I got pretty lucky on the last swing in the game. Yep.
It was just, I felt so terrible going into the bottom of the inning. I just felt like this is going to be heartbreak for me in some way or another. And then you see that the walks always kill you. Walk the 2 guys to lead off the inning. And then obviously Jimmy's primetime player.
Yeah, he's really good and got some rare super emotion out of Barron after that. He was very unhappy with himself. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him sometime down the road. But all right, so that was that one. Additional betting information. Yes, everybody. On Monday, I did predict the Washington Commanders would win the game outright. Yes, Trevor laughed at me. Yes, I actually bet it in real life. So all in all, a very good couple of days for me.
It's funny because I don't even remember laughing about the pick because I thought it was a pretty good pick. I rewatched the clip. I just was laughing. Maybe I was laughing at the way you said it or something because I'm always a fan of those type of picks. I thought it was a good one.
All right. Before we get into the preview and the gambling of game 3, a couple of notes I have from game 2. I guess the big thing, I mean, we got to talk about it at the end. There seemed to be some legitimate animosity with Jimmy yelling and Kyle even subtitling it at the bottom so that we all got to see it where he said, keep playing that way. I think something like that. There's a lot of things I don't know about baseball, wiffle ball, or 2 of them. I don't have any idea what he's referring to. You think you've got at least a one possibility?
So I just rewatched the series again. The first time I watched it, Andrew, my 8-year-old son, and I watched it together, which we watched on the big screen TV, and there's a lot of motion going in. So I feel like I don't really get to pick up on everything. I rewatched it this time, paying much more close attention to everything. After seeing that end part, the only 2 things that I could come up with would be the tipping of the pitches, which everybody obviously does in MLW. But it seemed like they were doing some kind of other tipping from back there with, I don't know what the sign that they were giving was. There's that. But the other thing that I thought it might be was I noticed in a couple of at-bats, it really looked like both Sawyer and Drew were like crowding the plate excessively. And there was even one pitch where it looked like Sawyer tried to kind of dive into the ball a little bit. So I don't know if that's what triggered him. I'm not sure. Those are the 2 things that I saw. That besides that, I didn't really see anything else that I could come up with.
Yeah, I rewatched after, just like you, looking for it. I didn't see anything different going on at second base than you see in every game.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that. I know which one you're talking about. Specifically with Sawyer, seemed to be leaning in a little bit. But then the goal is to turn a strike into a ball by getting hit.
I'm not sure. I don't know if it was just something that they were doing to get Jimmy uncomfortable a little bit with, because especially like the one pitch that Jimmy throws that starts out at the right-hander, at their body. Mm-hmm. If you're in close enough to the plate, it never gets the opportunity to come back over the plate. If you're kind of out over it a little bit, or closer, or crowding the plate more so than normal. That's the only thing that I could think of that maybe set him off, but I could be way off on that. It's just the first thing that caught my eye. And like I said, when, it was the same signal stealing, or not signal stealing, the same sign stuff that you see people doing at second base, except for it did look like Drew was doing some kind of other motion that was weird. But I don't know if that's different than anything else that they've done.
All right. Well, people who are good at YouTube say that viewer interaction is the key. So if any of you, dozens and dozens of people who watch this, have any theories, please type down below as to why Jimmy so adamantly yelled, "Keep playing that way," as he was rounding the bases. That would be helpful. The kick part 2 was pretty spectacular. Now, the rule is the ball has to hit the net before the player touches the plate. That's the rule, right?
Yes.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. It was so difficult to see. One, it's hard to tell if there's even a net there.
Yeah.
And two, I don't know. I thought he was out by a mile, but it like went through. It was a spectacular play. I don't have anything else to say than I thought he was out by a mile, but I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it was a great play. I think when I rewatched the replay, I thought that he was safe also, based on the way that the ball bounced and then never hit something again, or like didn't hit the other thing again before his foot hit the base. But that's what I just saw.
Right. Well, but was there something there to hit? That was my question.
Yeah, it was a backstop.
All right, I guess. All right. You got anything else about game 2? I mean, obviously we should just state Diamondbacks have a commanding 2-0 lead. The only way the Cobras can come back and win this, they got to win 3 in a row, which would certainly involve beating Jimmy Norp multiple times.
Yeah, my only thoughts from game 2, and I wish that I had a recording of myself. I wish we were able to watch together so I could record what my thoughts were going into the bottom of the third, because it seems like such results-oriented thinking, and I'm sure everybody would just blast Drew if he did this, but I really wanted to see them go to Sawyer in the third as a closer in that spot. Yeah, I felt like even though Barron had a decent second inning, you could tell they were getting the bat on the ball. And, he got Jonah with a really good pitch in the second inning. And then he got Shima with a good pitch also to end that inning with Jimmy on first. But it still just felt like, Jonah hit the home run in the first inning. They had all 3 of them were hitting the ball hard. And I feel like if there wasn't that scenario in the back of Drew's mind from the first series of the season, he took Barron out and put himself in, Drew would have been more likely to go to the closer in that spot, like to go with that kind of bold move. And he's just in a no-win situation, because if he does something like that and it fails, it's like, oh yeah, look at Drew, trying to be
over managing.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt like the right thing to do to me at the time. And like even at that, so it was in this. I'm trying to think, what inning was it? Was it in the third inning when Shima hit a pop-up, right? Yes, right before Jimmy walked it off. So it went walk, and then Shima hit the ball pretty, got the ball up in the air. I thought, oh my God, Shima walk-off home run here would just be
Yep. Insane. I was there too. Yeah.
And, maybe like at that point, you bring in Sawyer to face Jimmy. Obviously, that's a high pressure situation. I think once you got runners on first and second, I don't think you can make the change at that point. But it sure felt like, oh my God, Jimmy's going to hit a walk-off 3-run homer here. It just like if I could live bet before the pitch, I would have had a lot of money on Jimmy hitting a walk-off home run here.
A couple things out of me. One, we're almost in Barry Bonds territory in those high leverage situations. Can't really pitch to Jimmy Norp.
Yeah.
Those of you too young to remember watching Barry Bonds, he had a couple of years where if he got a hit to pitch, it went over the wall. He got walked with the bases loaded at least once. It may have been multiple times, just because it was more beneficial to give up 1 run to give him than to give him anything to hit. So,
I mean, the problem with that though, right now, in this series is that Jonah's had 2 home runs. He's had multiple walks. Yeah. He's had great at bats, and Shima doesn't have the stats from this series, but he's hit the ball hard a bunch of times already. And so it's like, what are you going to do? You can't, when other guys on the team are contributing like that, Jimmy's going to be a little bit more protected. And so, yeah, it's hard to see the Cobras coming back from this, obviously, especially with as emotional of a team as they are. This doesn't really play well into them, because even if they are able to grab game 3 here, then you have the break, all their momentum. Do they get to carry the momentum over the next day? It's not like they just get to go right into that next game.
Right. Okay. My second thought is, if we can, Trevor, if we can make it work, I think it would be pretty spectacular if we could watch the game together and record it, because that might have some value and might be entertaining, but only if we can make it work. So we're going to try to do that, everybody watching this. All right. Game 3 preview. I have it on good authority that the number 2s are pitching. We've got Jonah Heath going against Sawyer Bien. The Cobras are the home team, so they'll bat second. It is the same day, so they're not coming back the next day yet, according to the information I have, but we do have a new ball. So all of that information put together, Trevor, let's get some numbers from you. I'll handle the series line. You handle the other two. Diamondbacks are currently minus 1250 to win the World Series. Which means if you want to win $100 on the Diamondbacks to win the World Series, you have to wager $1,250. Come back on the Cobras, probably like 8-1. Get 8-1 on the Cobras. But why don't you go ahead and whatever you want to do first, game line or over under. I'm interested with these two guys pitching, what you're going to come up with.
Yeah. So I think with the over under, you have to go obviously higher than you would if you went with Norp and Barron.
Yep.
I think there's going to be some runs scored. I think more so it's going to become as a result of people getting on base, walks, just being able to get the ball and play more often, obviously, against these two pitchers than you would against other pitchers. So I'm going to go, man, I'm stuck between 5.5 and 6.5. I think.
You want me to take it easy on you?
Yeah. What would you say?
You have to make it 6.5.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then I'll take the over.
Okay.
Make it fair?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want the action?
Yeah, I'll take the action. It's fine.
I'm beating the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So total 6.5 runs. I'll take the over.
Yeah. I don't want action on the money, on the game line, because I don't know really what to make this one either. Because it feels like the Diamondbacks, just with all the momentum that they have here in this series and how much of a momentum driven team the Cobras are, it feels hard for them to come back and win a game here. Now, Jonah has not pitched a lot at all. He pitched that one inning, and he didn't pitch against the Cobras at all in that series in Vermont, right? If I'm remembering correctly. I think it was Jimmy and then Bennett.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And Flood. So yeah, he didn't pitch at all in that series.
And when he pitched against the Mallards, it was basically just filler time, right?
Yeah, mop up duty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a good pitcher, and he's a left-handed pitcher, which is not a common thing in this league. So I don't know how well he's going to do. I think that he's going to do well. And you never know what you're going to get out of Sawyer in this situation, right? Like he could come in and be lights out, or it can be a disaster. So I think you have to put the Diamondbacks as favorites. I don't think they are more of favorites than they were in game 2, based on what we saw of Jimmy going into game 2. So I think you make it like minus 130 or something like that.
Okay. I actually think that's a little high. I would probably go the other way. But no action on this. I would lean towards the red team at that number. All right. Well, I think we're the world exclusive, saying that it's Heath versus BN. I hope people take care of this.
There was a little nugget in the little Easter egg in the MLW video that I never saw before, and showed at the very end, it showed Jonah Heath with his stat line, and it said projected game 3 starter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Weird. Where'd you see that?
It was on when they did the interview at the end with the boys from the Diamondbacks. It showed Jonah Heath's stat line, and it said projected game 3 starter.
All right. So not really all that exclusive. Darn it.
Right.
All right. That's our MLW preview recap. As far as NFL betting goes, it's been a disaster for you, Trevor. You lost last week again. You are down to 3-7. You had the Bills -3.5. You should not have lost that, but you did. If I can bellyache for just a second, if that defensive back would have just knocked the ball down on 4th and 18 instead of trying to make the interception, because that guy's stats are more important than the victory for some reason, you would have won. I also would have won my pool again, so it only cost me $1,000.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah. I had the Packers, easy win. Edog had the Colts, easy win. Even Lucas won last week, Trevor, with the Dolphins. So you're 3-7. I'm 4-6. Edog is 6-3-1, and you're actually tied with Lucas at 3-7. And
correct me if I'm wrong. I was 3-2 at one point, right?
You were definitely 3-2. You've lost 5 in a row. That's hard. 5 coin flips in a row to all get heads. It's pretty tough, but you did it.
It's a good thing I'm not so good everywhere else in life.
Yeah. Stuff that's important. All right. What do you got?
I'm going to take the Chargers getting 6.5. Another sharp pick.
They're playing the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
Is it in Kansas City?
No.
Oh, God. It's not. Okay. You've got the Chargers at home getting 6.5. Yikes. All right. We'll be back. Hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll have the Ride with Jorgy segment and finishing up with the E-Donk. Trevor, good to see you. Good gambling, everybody.
See ya.
All right, we are back with another Ride the Jorgy segment. Coming off a tough loss, I think I had 5 or 6 in a row. Got lost last week, I can't just skate by these now. I got to make good picks. I got to get back on the win streak. So there's a couple lines that really jumped out to me. First, I'd like to give a shout out to Minnesota because they're at home and Dallas is favored by 1.5. I'm not going to go with that, but that is very disrespectful to me. I'm sure a lot of people are taking that. I got a little 2-leg parlay on my FanDuel account with that game, and then my lock that I'm going to say here in a sec. And I'm going to go with the road team because I like my road teams. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears +3 at Atlanta. Both defenses are bad. Atlanta just came off a loss to Carolina. Chicago just came off a loss to Detroit. I think it just comes down to Justin Fields and Marcus Mariota. Justin Fields has been playing insane. He's been running all over defenses. And I see more like Atlanta is going to keep up because, Chicago's defense is not good. But I think it's going to be too much. I'll take those 3 points with Chicago. And hopefully Chicago and Minnesota get it done for me so I get some money in my account. And, hopefully we're back on the win streak here with Chicago.
All right. We're back to finish up this episode, NFL picks recap. Trevor dropped to 3-7. I went up to 4-6. Edonk remains one of the hottest handicappers on the planet with 5 in a row, is up to 6-3-1. And Lucas got one right. He's at 30% at 3-7. Edonk, Trevor went first because he's awful. He took the Chargers plus, I think, 6.5 at home against the Chiefs. I'm going with, you got to take bad teams. That's what I do. I'm taking the Texans plus 3.5. That's my pick. What do you got?
I am going to take the G-Men, New York, at home -3 against the Lions.
Yeah, that's an Edonk pick right there. All right, you're gonna lose. You're taking a good team at home laying points against a bad team. Bad team. Yeah, Lions probably win that game. So, all right. What about
who's 5 in a row?
Yeah, you and Jorgy, man. I know you don't know Jorgy, but you guys are amazingly hot.
Is he good looking like me?
No one's as good looking like you. I have written down, I have a prediction who Lucas's pick is. So I think I know the man pretty well, but you're going to tell me Lucas, who's coming off a victory. He's at 3-7. His lock of the week is
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, wow. He's going Oppo, Trevor. No, I got that one wrong. Embarrassing. I thought
it also give a little bit of love to the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if that might have been your other one.
No, I think I just thought a little. I was just going down the wrong path. I just thought everybody in the world is saying the Vikings should be favored at home and they're underdogs, so I just assumed he'd be on the Vikings. So it's all right. Can't get them all right. People, we're over halfway through this season. You've seen how we've picked. You know who's good and who's bad. I assure you, the E-Donk is not this good. It's kind of fluky. I suggest fading him the rest of the year, and you'll probably print. What I think is interesting, E-Donk, correct me if I'm wrong. You do some betting on the side on a weekly basis, and all these picks that you give on the show, you don't actually bet these, right?
Let me see. I don't.
No, you don't.
I bet a lot. I bet a lot of games, but
right. I agree. You bet a lot of games, but not the ones you give on this show because you.
Yeah, I mostly just book a lot of action.
All right. You're about to go to work. Let's finish it off with a dad joke of the week.
What generation is Forrest Gump from?
I don't know. What is it?
Gen A.
Good gambling, everybody.